Afternoon, people. It's Thursday. I've got an office day today, and instead of staying in the office and getting on with my tax returns, due to the point, really tired. Due to the point that they're giving us another month on the tax returns, I'm coming into a job just to, I spent yesterday and the day before trying to wire up these dolly switches, 1926 dolly switches. My God, they're such a lot of work. The day before that I was in Chelsea, believe it or not, putting up an electrolier or chandelier, and I popped into Mr. Resistor, which I've used for buying LED drivers for various things where a specialist driver was required. Mr. Resistor is a brilliant shop anyway, and I went in there. It's the first time I've been in. I've used it as mail order. It's in Chelsea, New Kings Road in Chelsea, and in Wandsworth there's one as well. I went into the Chelsea shop, and on the wall they had these switch to wood, supplied by Switch to Wood dolly switches, which would be so much easier to fit than the original switches from the 1926. The Art Deco Emporium, which supplies these 1926 switches, remanufacture them with earth fly leads, and they produce a 3D printed cowl over the innards, because otherwise you can unscrew the bell on the front, the finisher on the front, and you've got direct access with your fingers to very live parts. So that's why they produce these 3D printed little shells that have to be removed by removing screws, hence can only be removed using a tool. So I'm here in all my finery, with a kind of day off, but I've come in to work as I want to make a list. The trouble is with these 1926 dolly switches, one, it's very, very rare to find a crossover switch, an intermediate. They do have INT written on the back of them, but they're very, very rare. And so we don't have any, and we do need an intermediate, if not two. And the other thing is that we're desperately short of two-way switches. They come in two types, the ones with a brass bell finish and the ones with a Bakelite plastic finisher on them. So our client's having them with a plastic finisher, or the Bakelite finisher, on the top floor and in the bathroom on the first floor, and then on the ground floor and the first floor bedrooms, second floor bedroom I think, is having the brass finishers. I'm really passionate, as they like to use that word, about getting things right, and so I've set this day aside really for admin, but this is coming into work but unpaid, just to get this right, because I don't have, at the moment, I don't know if anyone else is like this, I do not have the mental resilience to put up with people not being happy with my work. And that speaks to quite a scenario that we're in, this lockdown and lack of income and everything else that goes with it. I am struggling at the moment, and so's my wife Esther, especially with having to homeschool our son. All the shortcomings and the difficulties and the support needed are in your face all day long. And I visited an old school friend, which is partly why I went up to Chelsea and stayed the night on Sunday. And they're having the same difficulties with their 7-year-old, I believe he's 7, in a terraced house in London. And they sit there in the morning, or you go out in the morning and see a stream of other parents taking their children to school, to the school that he goes to. And when they look online, half these people, they're not they're not key workers. One woman is a full-time mum. I mean, the dad goes to work, but she's a full-time mum at home next door. A Chinesey guy I saw with 2 children apparently works at JP Morgan, but can work from home. And his wife, I believe, is a doctor, but isn't a doctor. So she's got her doctor certificates and everything, and she did a medical degree, but she doesn't work as a doctor. And they're sending their son into school. 2 children, actually. So I don't know. It doesn't seem fair. Not fair at all. That was okay, but our other side of my income normally comes from other sources which just are not producing at the moment with the pandemic. I see what you're saying. I don't want to, that sounds like a good idea, but I don't want to pour cold water on it, but I don't think there's enough cable coming out of the oak to actually reach onto switches. Okay, yeah, that's an idea. I'll try that. Yeah. Okay then, Steve. Yeah, I'll go and make a list. I'll make a list first. Say again? You'd rather what? Oh yeah, don't forget that. But I mean, there's no point in me. I don't have a list of what's needed, so I'd rather make the list up first and then just. I mean, yes, isn't far from Westbourne Avenue or whatever it's called. Okay, I'll try that. If not, I think I could probably actually do it without the plates. I could just buy those click mini grid ones, couldn't I? And they'd fit on, possibly. Yeah. Okay, well, between us we come up with a plan. I think Edwin will probably be a bit shocked, won't he? Yeah. Okay, so that was a call from Steve. He just drove past and saw the car, saw my van, and he said, if you go into Yes, when you've done the list, and get a load of like mini grid, I suggested mini grid switches of the right conformation, and put them on all the ends of cables where we don't have the dolly switches, we can then test that everything works, which is quite a good idea. But of course, that's me back into paid work. So I'm wearing my this is my pocket watch here, and this is my other pocket watch which Claude gave me for Christmas. It opens up, it's got a little clock in it. There you go. But it doesn't work as a phone. This one is an American, I think it's called a Walter, and I was repairing it, which is why I'm wearing it, because I bought it when I had more time to do watch repair. So we'll go into the property and make a list, and we'll get all the switches from Yes and fit them, and hopefully we'll see the thing working. Here we are at the site. Ain't gonna be easy. Okay, here we go. So here's the first one that you pass, and that's not complete, as you can see. The fly leads underneath the dolly switches go into a cavity in the oak and have to be connected at the same time as the switch goes on. So, but these are connected, so we don't need. Oh there, Mick. We don't need. What's happening?
I've narrowed them down.
Oh, you narrowed them down, okay. Yeah, so they don't need the units on them. But if we come up to the top, up to the middle floor here, you can see we're missing a two-way there. So we'll try and put a two-way unit onto that. The rest of these are done. These are done. And then we're missing an intermediate up there. So I'll get on with that, knock a few out, get it done, and then meet up with you. So this is what we're talking about. We've put the mini grids, polar mini grid, two ways onto the ends of the conductors there, so that the system can be tested to make sure that everything works as it's supposed to before we actually have the proper switches, which are taking a while to come. So obviously this is a selection of switches, but what the client has got are not what we can use. They're two-pole switches instead of two-way, annoyingly. There's a they're both two-pole switches there, you see. Well, I'm pretty well done, so time is... Where's my phone? 14:40. Okay, so I've been here an hour and a half, about what I thought. I've put the switches in, and I've totted up what we need, and we still need 16 two-ways, 2 intermediates, switches, and the finger plates machined, which are these. So these need all the holes cutting in them, the additional holes. We need a single, a double, and a triple, but they're nearly there. And then we need a triple plywood backplate. So yeah, these are the dolly switches that we're fitting. If you just look at this, it is quite fascinating. When you think this is probably what F. Scott Fitzgerald used to turn his lights on and off with. So this is the cowl, the little shell that has been 3D printed to prevent you unscrewing this and touching live parts. That comes off the screws, and then there's your contacts. And if you have a look a bit closer, you can see there's a little wheel in there. And this, what reminds me, is of the electric switches in the Rolls-Royce we used to have. When we took the dashboard off, the switches were quite surprising in that they went back. They were like aircraft switches. They went back about 6 inches with oilite bushes and armatures, not like modern car switches. So Rolls-Royce engineers have been having a field day in there. Get this back on. There we go. It's beautifully fitted. That 3D printed shell. The lady of the house is Spanish, and she's married to a man from the Netherlands. He's having these all the way through the house, no dimmers, nothing like that. Just these. But whereas the switch to wood are manufactured with current standards in place and can be screwed straight into the modern back boxes, these take a lot more jiggery-pokery. I'm not quite sure how they would have been mounted originally in houses and what type of back boxes they'd have used, but they certainly wouldn't have used back boxes as junction boxes. They'd have done all the junctioning up in the ceilings, and we don't do that. So that's the problem we've come up against. Yeah, so just going back to what I was saying about this lockdown and the pandemic and the impact on children. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard at the moment. And one last point I was going to make, which is, I don't know how many of my guys who watch me also watch people like Tom Nagy and Nick Bundy and DSES, David Savory, or Jordan on Artisan, or DSS Electrics. The only people putting out videos at the moment seem to be Jordan and Nick Bundy. Anyone else notice the sort of lack? I've personally only put out one since Christmas, the one up the trees, the last video, and the reason being that, you know, I've got tax to sort out, and it's part of this whole feeling. I had 2 periods of 10-day isolation, I have to say, over Christmas and just after Christmas. I had to self-isolate for 10 days, so obviously wasn't doing any work then. So I think that's probably what's contributed quite a bit to it. But also, I haven't felt really that up during work. I've not felt busy and wanting to share. The thought of getting a camera out has been quite burdensome. Let's see what this is. Hello? Hi there. My time is yours. Just going to check inside my backpack that I've packed all my tools. Yes, this is what I was looking for. That and all my screwdrivers. They're there, so we're done. Go and get a coffee and then be on our way home before the rush hour. So yeah, finding it really hard at the moment. Don't know what's happened to the other YouTubers, but generally people who run their own electrical companies are doing okay, especially at the moment with all the EICRs until April and the remedials. They've got until April to do that. But for my work, which isn't letting agents, you know, Steve's work is, it's just dried up at the moment. There's just, I don't know whether it's because I'm not advertising properly. It's true I come off Checker Trade, but I didn't used to get that many directly from Checker Trade. So yeah, it's not an easy time at the moment, and I'm spending more and more of it doing work for Steve, which is fine. He's a great electrician. He's very easy to read. He's very honest, straight down the line, very supportive, and he understands jobs, you know, inherently. So he's a good person to work for, and he's a good person, which in my book goes a long way. No matter the work that we've been getting has been quite dog shit, but you know, at least it's work. He's hoping to diversify, as am I. This year I was hoping to get into film set electrics, but a couple of projects which I'd applied for have been pushed back to the summer, and I'm still not confirmed as a crew on them, so we'll have to wait and see and keep on applying. That's about it for this video. Sorry it's been very short, and a lot of me blabbing about life and how hard I'm finding it at the moment, which is not surprising. My videos tend to be a bit of a whinge. I'm sorry. It's just the way they seem to come out, is me whinging about jobs at the moment. That's the way things are. I hope to see you soon. I'll see you as soon as I can. Honestly, I'll put together something as soon as I can. I do miss putting together the videos, so it's just getting an opportunity. And click subscribe if you're not subscribed. Forget about like. There's nothing to like about this video. And I'll see you next time. So I've just stopped on the side of the road here, next to the harbour. You can see the harbour goes down a long way. It's a good mile and a bit long. And surprisingly, there's a lot of fishing boats in, and they're quite big ones. So Wire&Test there, the big one that I'm pointing at now, is a Dutch vessel. They're berthed in Shoreham, but they're not actually English fishing boats. They're European fishing boats. And that's a big beam trawler there, that Wire&Test. She's a big boat. I don't know where DS is, where she's registered, but they berth them in Shoreham, and they use all our fishing quota. Well, they use all the fishing quota, their fishing quota, and they steal all our fish. That's all I've heard from people in the marine trade down in Littlehampton. Onward and homeward.